Good morning. This is Dr. Turner for Fundamental Mathematics. Today we're going to be talking about 1.4, which is looking at factors and multiples. We typically learn these two topics at the same time, and so it's very common for a lot of students to get these two topics confused, but a multiple of a number is taking that number and multiplying it by an integer, by a whole number. So for instance, if I was looking at 5, the multiples of 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. That as opposed to factors, which are two numbers I multiply to get the given value. So again, these are both taught typically at the same time, and they sound similar, but they are a little bit different. This is going to help us when we get into our fractions unit. So try to distinguish between the two. We'll go ahead and get started. Again, if I'm looking at the multiples of a number, the multiples of a number are that number multiplied by any whole number value. So I used the example of 5 earlier. If I look at the number 5, the multiples of 5 are 5 and 5 times 2 and 5 times 3 and 5 times 4 and 5 times 5, etc. So those are multiples. We're taking a whole number, multiplying it by the number that we're looking at. So those are multiples. On the assignment, half of your questions are going to simply ask you to identify, is a given value a multiple of the number in the question provided? You should be able to identify multiples of 5 fairly easily because 5s are going by a pattern of ending in 5, 0, 5, 0, repeating. Also, if you're looking at multiples of, let's say, 10, 10 has a common pattern of always ending in a 0. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, etc. So those should be easy patterns to recognize. Also, multiples of 2, any even number, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All of these are even values that'll end in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. So those should be easy multiples to recognize. So again, for the assignment, what I'll do is I'll give you a number, let's say 50, and ask, is this a multiple of 5? And you'll either tell me yes or no. In this case, yes, 50 would be a multiple of 5. If I give you 15 and ask if it's a multiple of 2, yes or no, you'll tell me no. So these are 50-50 questions at the very least, but hopefully those patterns will start to sink in as you do it. Then, in addition to multiples, we also have what are known as factors of numbers. Because these are typically taught at the same time, students have the tendency to get multiples and factors mixed up. Multiples are when you take a number and multiply it by a whole number. So 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 5 times 3, 5 times 4. Those are multiples. Factors, on the other hand, are two numbers that you multiply to get a number. And depending on the number that it is, it could be a very large number, it could be or you could have a number of factors, or you might just have one or two. So for instance, if I look at a number like, for instance, 7. 7 is a prime number. This is covered in previous sections, but prime numbers are when the only factors you have are 1 and that number. So in the case of 7, I can only get 7 by multiplying 1 times 7. There's no any other two numbers I can multiply to get 7. So that is an example of a prime number. And we'll talk more specifically about prime and composite numbers in later sections. Composite numbers are not prime. That means you have something other than just 1 in the number that can multiply to get your given value. So for instance, let's say 8. If I ask you for the factors of 8, you can get 8 by doing 1 times 8. And that's going to be true for any number. At the very least, you could do 1 times the number. But 8 specifically can also be gotten by doing 2 times 4. So because I have more than one pair of numbers, that is a composite number. In this assignment, you'll be asked to identify, is blank a factor of a given number? Or you could be asked to identify all the factors of a given number. Now, 7 and 8 are pretty small, so those are fairly easy to do. But if I give you a larger number, let's say 24, well, that becomes a little more complicated. So what I would do, if I'm using a calculator specifically, is I would just start with 1. And again, 1 I know goes into any number, so 1 times 24 gives me 24. And then go up from there. 2, because 24 is even, I know 2 goes into 24. And so I could do 24 divided by 2 with a calculator to get 12. And then I would continue from there. Go to 3. 24 divided by 3. That's 8, so 3 times 8. And then go to 4. 4 goes into 24 6 times, etc. And not every number is going to be a solution. For instance, if I tried to go with the next number in the sequence, which would be 5, 5 doesn't go evenly into 24. And then by the time I go to the next number, that'd be 6. Well, I already have 4 times 6. That's the same as 6 times 4. So I don't need to write that combination again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24 would be all the factors of 24. So you need to be able to identify multiples, and you need to be able to identify factors. That's it for this section. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.